Good evening, everyone. You are welcome to Vews Launch channel. My name is Shibulola Lamidi, a wife and a mother, and I'm an early childhood educator with over 15 years of experience. The purpose of this channel is to guide the young ones in authentic and real topic from experienced individuals, sharing their stories and knowledge to inspire the new generation. We think there's no better way to start this channel rather than guiding our children and the world in choosing a better career life and share some information with the parents. That's what brings us to today's topic, career and college readiness. Today's discussion is divided into 4 sessions: overview of the topic, open launching, expert opinion, and Q&A session. Before we proceed on today's discussion, I would like to crave your indulgence. If you have questions, contributions, and comments, you can post it on the chat box. We attend to some of them during Q&A session. And as well, if you have any specific topic or story you'd like to share with us for discussion, you can send out an email at info@views-launch.com, info@views-launch.com. Without any further ado, I would like to introduce today's panelists to you. I have with me here Ms. Yinka, Ms. Rachel, Conran, Tommy, and also our experts also in the house, Ms. Valerie Austin. You are welcome to Vews Launch, ladies and gentlemen, and it's nice having you here. Thank you. You are all welcome. Thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. So moving on to our today's discussion, career and college readiness. Each panelist is going to introduce themselves, and they're going to give us overview of what is career and college readiness means to them. So I'm going to start from Ms. Yinka. Ms. Yinka, introduce yourself and tell us what career and college readiness means to you.
Thank you, Ms. Lamidi, for inviting me to be on this panel. And I welcome everybody to Vews Lounge. My name is Yinka Ojikutu. I'm a mother and I'm a wife. For me, career readiness is, college and career readiness from a parent's perspective includes having to have exposed our children to what the world at large means in terms of what they can be when they become an adult, or what are the things that they really like, what are the areas, and this would have started, of course, from early childhood for me. It's not something that will start when the kid gets to 11th grade or 12th grade, as some states have actually, like in Maryland right now, I think it was 2013 that the state of Maryland started that program where they kind of like, okay, they have this regulation that from 11th grade, all kids in the state of Maryland will be exposed to college and career readiness. So for me, it's about exposing our children to what it is out there that they can become, and how to make sure that they're prepared in any of these areas that they think that they have a lot of affinity to, which of course is determined by what they like. Thank you.
Thank you. I thank you for your perspective on that general review of what career and college readiness. Moving on to Ms. Rachel. Ms. Rachel, what is your thought on career and college readiness?
Hello, everyone. My name again is Abolanle Rachel Oladigbolu. and I'm a mother and a wife. And by profession, I'm a registered nurse and a nurse educator. I majorly specialize in behavioral and mental health nursing. So my understanding of career and college readiness would be preparation of our children from high school for post-secondary education, with them sharpening their skills to know where they can channel it and get ready for their future career. With that being said, we want to make sure that they're really prepared from high school before they actually are exposed to choosing their pathway in college to different majors. So that's my understanding of career and college readiness.
Thank you. That's a good thought. Conrad, what's your thought?
Yes. All right. So my thought on career and college readiness is the skills and the knowledge required for students, most especially high school students, to be able to achieve prior to getting into different careers and different colleges, because it would help them excel really well at what they're doing, and it prepares them and puts them ahead of their peers, and puts them in a better position, so like they would hit the ground running and wouldn't run into difficulty.
That's right. Thank you, Conrad.
My pleasure.
Tommy, what's your thought?
Hi. So my perspective on that is that
Introduce yourself, please.
Oh, sorry. My name is Tomilola Lemlokun, and I'm currently a law student, a second year law student. I majored in criminology and criminal justice in undergrad at the University of Maryland. Going on career readiness, it's important for students to really think long and hard about what career path they want to go down, and to think about that starting around the high school age, because then it can help their decision to choose a major when they get into undergrad. It'll help that become easier for them, and those stepping stones will also allow them to realize what they're truly passionate about and what they would want to spend the rest of their lives doing as a career. So it's definitely important to start thinking about that at a relatively younger age, to be sure that they make the right decision and that they're ready to put in all of the effort and the work that it takes to start in undergrad and even advance to higher education afterwards to start their career.
Oh, thank you. So what I'm hearing from all of you now, that for a student to choose a career life, they must have understanding of what they wanted to do when they are in high school, or when you're sophomore or senior, getting ready to go to college. That's what I'm hearing from all of you. They must have understand what is career and college readiness all about, so that they will not make a mistake. So that will take us to our hot topic of today, whether we should guide our children in choosing their career life, or we should just let them do it alone. So the topic says, should parents allow their children to choose a career all alone? If so, why and how? And if not, why not? So I'm going to start off from Ms. Yinka again. Ms. Yinka, what's your thought on that?
For me, I am leaning in the middle, and that for me is a 50-50 way of thinking, in terms of, as I said in my explanation of what career and college readiness mean. As a parent must have done all their due diligence in terms of exposing their kid to the different kind of careers out there, and the ones that they feel that they can like excel in when they become an adult, or when as far as exposing them into it. So so at the point where they're kids, you can like channel them into different areas, and as they grow up and they get into high school, they're in 11th grade, and that's when the nitty-gritty of the kind of classes that going to choose as far as is it sciences, is it art, you know, what are the area of studies they're inclined towards. So at that point, I believe a child already knows that. And for me as a parent, I believe at that point, or especially when they get to that point, they already are in a way formed. You've already done all the work that you're supposed to do as a parent. And what they do need at that point for me is just the guidance, which is being there for them, like still being able to expose them in terms of, okay, at this point, is it college? Is it trade school? Is it the military? What exactly do you want to do at this point? And just being there for them. Get them the guidance. If the kid is not getting as much information as they should from school, get out there. There's YouTube, there's stuff on the internet that they can actually be able to immerse themselves in and get all the information that they need to be able to make the right choice. So for me, I believe at the point when a kid is 17, 18, actually they are there to be able to make that determination as far as what exactly they're passionate about, what exactly that they like, what exactly they can thrive at when they become an adult, and this career fields that will make them to blossom into the kind of person that they've been created to be. So that is my own
that's your thought on that. You
yes,
just lay everything on the table for them. They make their decision, then guide them through it.
Yes, you're still there. They will come. I mean, you just need to have that to be able to balance it, to be there for them. You know, if they need anything, to be able to support. And that for me is where a parent should be at that point, once they're 17, 18, as young adults.
Okay, thank you so much. Tommy. No, Miss Rachel. Let's hear from Miss Rachel.
Thank you. To go back to the question, you said, should parents allow their children to choose future career all alone? My answer to that question, my take on it will be a no. With that being said, I'm going to give you the basis for my answer. The question says, should they do it alone? It's not saying that you cannot be involved. It's just asking you, do you want to be involved? Neither is it saying you should be involved completely. So I'm going to say, no, they should not do it alone. So your part in that is what I'm going to describe, your role, your responsibility to help them, to guide them, so that they don't feel alone and they don't also feel overwhelmed by your intervention or your contribution to help them as a guide. I'm not going to suggest that you should be an helicopter parent, because when talking about life issues as parents, we are well groomed, we know so much to offer these children. And I strongly believe that's why we're parents. It's not just the raising them, it's actually participating in what could make life better and the future brighter, so that they're able to make the right choices. That's why we're there. So you can use a lot of your experience related to yourself, family members, you do researches, you get information from friends at work. This may include how you chose your own college major. It could also include how you acquired career experiences in the job market, how you manage your finances, the mistakes that you have made. And you should always realize that you have their wholehearted interest to support them. So I would say when you're guiding your children or your child with career decision in choosing their major, first of all, I'm going to use some research study that landed on. They were conducted in 2010, 2014, and 2017. I kind of collated them because they were pretty much saying the same thing in their conclusion. It was done by College Choice Report, National Center for Education Statistics. It reported that less than 30% of students graduate in 4 years. It stated that most students ends up in transferring or dropping out. 50 to 80% ends up switching their major at least once. Over 7% of graduates in certain majors regretted their major. So when you think about that, there's a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money that is being wasted in this process. This research report concluded that students who chose majors that aligned with their interests, they were found to be less likely to change their major. So when we're talking about whether we want to support our children in making their choices about majoring in what they major in college, I think it's very, very vital that we stand in gap for them, to really be there for them and give them all these guidances that would help them to choose a better major that would not send them towards wasting their time, their energy, and their finances, and incurring them into a lot of debt by the time they finish college. This is because by the time they finish, you're also going to be going through all these issues with them, which by that time they've regretted. So why were you looking at all of these downfalls when you could have rescued them and say, you know what, honey, I got you? And thank God, Ms. Yinka said there's tons of information online. So you could get on government. A lot of authentic websites are available there for them to corroborate and support what information you're telling them, so that it's not personalized and it's not individualized. So my take on it remains a no. And my basis is that you have a lot of experience in different areas of life, an aspect of life that you can use to guide them in choosing their majors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rachel. So, I would like to come to you now. So as a student.
So yeah, I guess my opinion on that would be,
what was your experience like choosing your own career path?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, your voice was breaking up. Can you please repeat that?
Yeah, I said, what was your experience as undergraduate when you're choosing your career path? So.
Yes, so I would say in terms of parent involvement in choosing an undergrad major, I would say yes and no at the same time. Because speaking from personal experience, my entire family is from a medical background. Both of my older sisters are doctors, my mother's a nurse, and my dad owns a medical agency. So, and I'm the only one in my family that went into law, just because I kind of knew that I always had a calling for law and never had a medical interest, I would say. So when I told my family that I wanted to go into law, they kind of saw it coming, I would say. Like, they thought that it was a good fit for me. But since all three of us, me and my sisters, all went to the same school, we all went to University of Maryland, there was concern, I guess, from my parents and my sisters that maybe they wouldn't be able to help me out as well in choosing classes and choosing my major and choosing my field, just how to navigate the legal field, because they were both pre-med. But even then, I chose to do criminology and criminal justice as my undergraduate major, which I ended up loving. And so I spent 4 years doing that, and it was great. And I was able to navigate it with the help of advisors, and even my family as well. They were still very supportive, and all went well. So even though they didn't force me to go into medicine like everybody else, they were supportive and they allowed me to choose my own path. I think it all played out how it was supposed to, with their minimal involvement as well. But then even after I ended up majoring in criminology and criminal justice, my year off before going to law school, and even my first year in law school, I've discovered other fields of law and realized that the opportunities are still endless. So even though I did major in something different and I don't want to practice criminal law, it was still a great experience, and it still allowed me to open up my horizons into learning about the legal field and the processes of how law in cases go to trial, et cetera, and just a general overview of law in undergrad. So I spent 4 years doing that, and it did help and even just furthering that in law school just made the possibilities endless, and I still can choose which field and area of law I want to practice. So I basically, I guess to sum that all up, my answer would be that parents can have an involvement, but they shouldn't necessarily make the decisions for their child, but they should be supportive, and they should help them choose whatever would be the most realistic and something that they are passionate about.
Okay. I like your perspectives on that. Conrad, what's your thought? What's your experience? Were you guided or?
Yes, I was actually guided through it all. I think towards the beginning I was guided because I thought, I mean, from my experience, if the guidance wasn't there, I would have gone down a different path. And I obviously cannot predict the future, so I don't know where I'd be a couple of years from now. But I think for high school or anyone who's like starting off with college, it's really important for the parents to have an input. I mean, while taking into consideration what the kid also has in mind, because you see it a lot in colleges where college students would get into majors which they're done with school and they really don't know what to do after this, or they really cannot find a job. I think that's the biggest one. Obviously, one of the reasons why they go to school is to attain a career and so they could make money and have a decent income and decent living. But if you go down the wrong path and you're not able to do that, it's not too late, but then again, you wasted a lot of money doing that. So I think as a parent, you should listen to your child. What do they want to do? Take that into consideration. And if you think like the path is quite different from what you have in mind, you might want to lay down your options, not necessarily options, but like give them ideas. Like, I think if you go down this path, it might be a better option for you. And so, yes, I think parents have to, play a part in their child's career path / education.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
I have concerns regarding leaving the kids alone, because being an educator, I've seen a lot. When first and second semester, they will say, "Oh, you're in class with them. Oh, what is your major? What are you going to major on?" Sometimes they don't know. They don't know what they are in school for. So it's better, as like Ms. Yinka said, you can table it before them and make their choices. And when you have hiccups, you can guide it. They come back to the drawing board. Then you walk the way back. And Ms. Rachel said, we have to guide them. And thank God, Conrad was guided, and Tommy did everything all alone. And their parents were there for her to support her. And here she is now as a postgraduate student. Moving on to the same question. When the kids come to you that they are going to major in, let's say, law or being a doctor, whatever their choice are, do they consider the decline and fast-growing career when they come, or as a parent that, oh, I'm going to get involved in it? Do you look into that? Oh, okay, because the course you say you are going to do in a couple of years down the line, this career might not be favorable unto you. So, what is your take on that, Ms. Rachel? Do you consider the fast and decline career when you are guiding your child to get involved in it? So what's your take on that? Ms. Rachel?
Yeah, thank you. So to consider whether my child, the importance that the parents should know how and why the children chooses their career, and to determine whether it's declining or it's still very needed in the career market. It's very important that they should find out whether there is still a high need, because particularly in this kind of Western countries, you have to find out, because every year it's data are taken and is documented, and the salaries are, you know, fluctuating, because it's a matter of demand and supply. You have to let the kids know that this country is based on, it's governed strictly by the government. So the salary, the demand, just like the food that we eat is being controlled by demand and supply, the population is the same thing with career. They really control it. So it's the demand goes up, a lot of time, the supply is slow. So it's like economics based. So when you think about economics, you have to think about how career is being dispensed in the market. If I should use my career, for example, a lot of the new nurses that are coming onto my uni, they will tell you something like it's overrated. It's overrated because they're not paying them that actual salary that they're seeing online. You have to go up the ladder to get there. And to be honest with you, even after you spend like 10 years in the career, it's not a career whereby you're being promoted and slam. They give you like $20,000, you know, raise. It doesn't happen like that. Usually they just give you like 50-cent raise, and you're like, excuse me. So all of these things have to be, you know, the children have to be aware of it, how the raises are placed, how you get your promotion. So that helps you to decide what kind of career. So if my child is going into nursing and already aware of this, it helps her to know, do I really want to go into this kind of job? Do I want to get to a job and say that it's overrated? You see all these young ones, they come within 2 years, they leave. I heard Conrad say something that, oh, most of the folks that are remaining in most healthcare, we are old. Yes, we are old because we have nowhere else to go and we are like locked in. But the young ones, they don't want to take this little tiny money that they offer them as a starting salary. And how do you manage your life with 44,000 or 45,000? Just go to the market and find out how much you're going to pay for renting an apartment, and then think about you getting married. You're not going to be able to support yourself with $44,000. And the $65,000 that you see online is not how much that they're going to start you with. So all of this truth about how the market and job career market runs, you have to expose your kids to this information and give them the knowledge of what is actually going on the field, so that they are more exposed than what the online is actually giving to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Yinka, well, you said earlier that you just lay everything on the table, let them make their choice. So do you consider, when they're making their choice, did they consider the past and the decline career in the future when they come to you based on their research and what you know? So what do you think?
Just to piggyback on what Ms. Rachel said, that's definitely what my husband and I were able to like tender, and I think that's the best way to kind of just let the younger ones know that you definitely will see, like, it's for like an IT professional who is being said to earn $120,000 a year. And as Ms. Rachel said, it's not like you get your alpha letter as your first job and you get that money. You get maybe $65,000 a year. And as she said, your raise every year is just gonna be like maybe 2%. So, and you just don't arrive at that high number just like that. It takes a long time to get there. So those are the things you want to consider when you're definitely choosing a career. And do you want to choose a career? You want to like have all these other things that you're doing on the side as well? Maybe, I mean, so it's just up to you as a young adult to look into all these things. And then again, the most important factor is for even us as parents, the fact that we've been there, we've been in that profession for so many years, we might not even know what's current. So that's why it's very important to, even as parents, to educate ourselves as far as what is there right now, what is the supply, what is the demand, just to again reiterate on what Ms. Rachel said. And and it's not even just what is the supply, what is in demand, but what in like 10 years down the line, what are the professions that are still going to make sense, that are still going to be valuable. Those things are very important to think about. And what is the starting salary for to go into this kind of career? You want to look into that as well. And then not only just even how much you're going to make. Is this career field, is this something that I'm going to get there and be fulfilled? Those things are important to think about as well. And as Tommy said, she said, I see all my, my family, everybody's in the medical field. I know I'm like, okay, I just want to go into law. That is very important for any human being, because at the end of the day, this is what I chose. This is my passion, and to be able to help them as far as, okay, this is what you like. How can we maximize? How can we make sure that you thrive, that you excel in this your chosen path? To me, is very important as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your perspective on that. Conrad, so when you made up your mind to do, what's your major again, Conrad?
Clinical lab science.
Clinical science. So,
yeah.
Do you look into fast growing and decline in the
Oh yeah, absolutely. So when that was actually so that was actually one of the first things I did. I went on to the Department of Labor and Statistics to look at the trend in the field. After doing some research, I found out a lot of it's being automated, and not to say the field would be extinct in the next couple of years, but like it's changing per se. I think it's definitely important to consider the trend in the field as to what is it going to look like before you get into it. Personally, this isn't where I want to be like in 10 years. So I didn't really see that as an obstacle in terms of getting into this field. So I definitely considered it. I think everyone else should do the same before going into something. Like certain fields are saturated, even though it made a trend maybe in that field. But I think you should also consider like how many people are getting into it, what types of job, or like would there be a lot of opportunity for me to get into it. And like I said prior to the start of this meeting, you have mostly older people in this field, and a lot of them are retiring, and so there is a shortage of people here. So getting into it for a couple of years actually seems rewarding, but long term, not necessarily. Yeah, that's my take on that topic.
Okay. Thank you, Cora.
Yeah.
Tell me, what's your thought? Do you consider the future before you decided to go into law?
So at the time, I didn't do as much research, but I knew that the legal field was a very quickly growing one, and it still is. But I guess right now, so being in law school, I have been weighing out the different possibilities, because there are so many different branches and fields of law, like anywhere from corporate to government law to civil to family law. There's so many opportunities, and I'm weighing out the interests, I would say, and like getting advice from professors and whatnot to see what, not necessarily just the monetary aspect of it, but like where people enjoy it the most, like enjoy their practice, find the most action, I guess I would say, like how often they get to litigate, go to court. So looking into the different types and the fields is important to see just where people are happiest and where people enjoy their jobs the most. So there's definitely a lot of research that I'm still planning on conducting as I navigate through law school to see what field interests me the most before I make my decision. And also, additionally, people in law often don't always stay in the same type. So people can be, you can try different things. Like I know some people who start off, if they do criminal law, some people start off as prosecutors and switch to defense attorneys or vice versa. And some people can start off all private practice and then eventually go to larger corporate firms or vice versa. So there's just a lot of different opportunities to consider, I think.
So thank you. So what you are trying to, what I'm getting from you is that you can't just start from one aspect and you can switch. It depends, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, not too quickly. I guess it depends on how many years of experience you have. So, but yes, essentially someone can switch if they want, but people typically like to feel it out for a few years, the area that they're in. And if they're not necessarily liking it or feel like they want to practice that for much longer, they can try out other areas and apply for other areas, or maybe even do additional study in a specific focus. Like there's a degree known as the LLM, which some people do to specifically focus on an area of the law, like maybe tax or maybe patents essentially too. So they can do that and try out other things to basically broaden their horizons.
Okay, thank you. I have another question for you on that. So if we want to switch to another field or another area in the law, do you need to do any extra credit, or you need to do some other courses to boost whatever you have? Do you have to do that so that will not take you a longer time? Maybe you need to spend 3 years and you end up spending 4 years because you not do your research before you took that decision. What's your take on that? So what do you say?
No, because I guess with law school, it's either you have to finish in 3 years, or if you're an evening student, so a part-time student who works full-time and goes to school part-time, they're the only ones that are allowed to do 4 years. But if you start off as a full-time law student, you have to finish in 3 years. So basically the curriculum for every law student or every law school is the same for the first year. So you have to take a set of like staple bar exam courses, such as like civil procedure, criminal law, tax, corporations. Like you have to take all of the same classes as other law schools so that you have like the foundation before you practice. And then you already have that knowledge once you take the bar and start to practice. And then if you decide to change your mind, once like all of that will be tested on the bar, so you should know it in general.
Okay, thank you, Tommy. Thank you for the explanation. I think get a clear picture of your point.
Thank you.
Now, we are going now to hear from the experts. We are going to hear from Ms. Valerie to validate all the parents and the students that have said so far. So we have the experts in career and college readiness, Ms. Valerie. Ms. Valerie, what is your take on what we have said so far?
Actually, y'all have hit every single point that is so important. It has to be where you have the parents involved with the students, and it has to be where there's that exploration in addition to that preparation. Because
coming to actually prepare them to the reality of career world.
Okay, so there are many different parts to what you asked. If you come in as a beginner, that average may be lower. And again, depending on the location and the need, it might be higher. So that's why I always tell parents, especially young people, you have to talk to someone who is in that profession that you are interested in. If you want to be a registered, and we don't pass that along to students, if you have young people who come into what you're doing and they don't have any clue what it entails, it's because they haven't talked to anyone. That's why mentorship is so key. They have to talk to someone in that field. And then they say, well, these are my 4 questions. What's the education requirement? They probably know because they want to do it. what's the daily activities? What are you doing during the day? What do you do in the office? And it depends on, is it in the office? Is it in a hospital? Is it in a clinic? What are the career paths when they're in school that they might be able to pursue? Just like Lola stated, she gets the basics for law, but then she can go out and branch into other things. But I hope she wouldn't just pick something and not talk to somebody in that particular field, someone who can be a mentor. And then what's the typical salary? And you can ask that of someone who, okay, so I've talked to this registered nurse, she's been in the field for 10 years. But let me talk to someone who's beginner, a first year who just got out. How much would she pay? And it goes into, it has to be a discussion. Your kids do not have the life experience. As a parent, you have to expose them and you have to make sure that they're funneled to the right people to talk to. And I'll give you another point. For every high school guidance counselor, there are possibly 246 students or more. They do not have time to dedicate to your child unless they're the stars or they're the children who have issues. And so you have to be the one to be your child's advocate, not to pressure them into something, but to be their advocate so that they know this is the requirement for any career. Education requirement, daily activities, the career paths for that particular technical school or major, and what's the typical salary. If you don't get those 4 things, then they're going to be lost, dazed, and confused when they're in college or technical school. And technical school is easier because you know you're going to get a learned skill set. College, there could be 130 programs of study. If they don't know, college is too expensive to be trying to figure out your life there. That's why a lot of them drop out. Did that answer the question?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Valerie. Ms.
Okay.
Valerie, I would like to go back to when we were discussing last week or 2 weeks ago. You mentioned something like although you mentioned some of them in the course of your presentation, you mentioned like some of the jobs are going to be can be replaced, that some people are going to lose their job, because we're talking about between 2018 to 2028. There's some of the job that is not going to be there anymore, going to be replaced, maybe by the robot or whatever it is. So can you talk on that a little bit for the parent and the student?
Okay, yes. Okay, I'm going to tell you, jobs that do not require some type of skill, knowledge, or training. If we've seen with COVID-19, who were the first that were fired? Retail. They could put anybody in that particular job. Who was the next people who were fired? In the hotel industry. The next people that were fired. I mean, those types of jobs, you go to a grocery store nowadays, how many clerks do they have? They have automation. So because they have automation, they could have one person standing in the front and they go to where I'm paying my money for me to bag my own groceries, but they don't have to pay somebody to do that. So those are the types of things where if they can automate it, you're going to lose your job. Now, the ones that have bright growth, we're talking about COVID-19. People still driving their cars and their trucks. They need a mechanic. COVID-19, we need to have people who are out there doing contact tracing, people who are doing the tests for the COVID-19, the medical field. If you're in the hospital, you need somebody to provide comfort, provide their medication, to do, I think we talked about that in terms of taking blood pressure. That's a growing health field. And not only that, when COVID-19 goes away, our population is aging. We're going to need healthcare professionals in nursing homes, in assisted living. If you're a lawyer, there's going to be a need for estate planning. There's going to need for guardianships. Those are going to be growth types of places. So you have to look, after you've talked to a mentor, where the growth is going to be. And then that website, mynextmove.org, is a good resource.
Thank you. One of the audience asked a question, and the question is going to be put to you, Ms. Valerie. How can a parent or student prepare to ensure a chosen career remain relevant with adequate level of remuneration to offset the high school cost?
The high school's free. I'm confused.
Let me repeat the question. Read it. how can a parent or student prepare to ensure a chosen career remain relevant with adequate level of remuneration to offset the high school cost?
Okay, so if you're going to pay for college, you're going to pay for technical school. Okay, you're going to have to pay for that. The best way, again, is to Google it. And I keep saying the same thing. There's no easy route to this. You have to Google it. What's the average pay that this person is going to make once they finish school, technical school or college? And then you have to figure out what's the average pay, talking to a mentor, talking to someone in that field, and getting the true amount of how much that person can make in that particular career field. And then if you're a parent, remember I showed you those places where money, you have control over, 529 plans, putting away money, savings account, putting away money, have your child work during the summer, putting away money, your income, putting away money. You have to put away money. And so when it gets to the point where you have filled out the FAFSA and you get back how much they're willing to give you, and there's some gaps in that amount, because a lot of schools now are trying to just give loans, but there's a gap. At least you have more free money that you have acquired that can help you so that your child doesn't have to take out as many loans. And I hope that answered the question.
I believe so. Thank you. So we're running up the discussion. From the panelists, I want them to, what is your final thoughts or remarks for the parent and the student? I will start from Tommy. As a student, with all what we have discussed so far, what advice do you have the student like you or the parent out there?
Yeah, just wrapping everything up, I would say in terms of picking majors and career paths, parents should definitely be supportive and should also maybe do their own research on what their children might be considering to see the job market and also salary as well. So yeah, they should just be supportive and help as best as they can, or even help find resources for their students, such as like networking opportunities with people that are like professionals in the field, or even just mentors and advisors on their college campuses or high school campuses, as well as they're getting ready to start for to transfer into or make the segue into undergrad. But then in terms of law or loans, like federal loans and monetary issues with paying for school, I do think it can all add up as well. So they should be reasonable with how much they take out and make sure not to over take out any amount, or if they do end up with extras, to potentially give it back so they wouldn't have to worry about it later. But to get the amount that could cover what they need for their schooling, and maybe even if they need extra for potentially housing or food while they're in school, to take out those extra, but not more than they will be able to pay back. And then also to measure the field that they're going into and how much they expect to be making when they graduate, in order to pay off their loans in a timely manner.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Yinka, what's your final remarks on our topic of today?
Thank you, Ms. Lamidi. I think we've touched on so many areas that both parents and young adults need to be successful in life. And I just think that going forward, all what we've learned, we definitely will be able to put it into practice. And then for every young adult, the most important thing is to also be receptive to the advice, and because parents, they've been through a lot. And with someone like Ms. Valerie, in as much as she's gone to school to be able to give this advice, she's seeing the life experiences there as well that is coupled with everything. So being able to just reach that compromise to understand what is out there will definitely be beneficial to the young adults and definitely the parents as well. So that's my on everything.
Conrad, is Conrad there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, Conrad, so what's your advice to the parent and students like you out there listening now?
So my advice would be the entire process should be a collaboration between parents and kids. Parents shouldn't just sit on the sidelines and let their kids determine what their future are going to look like. Parents should do things like pushing their kids to find internships, which would give the kids an idea of what the field they're going into would look like. Kids also learning the skills necessary to thrive in school, and also networking. It's really important to know people. According to labor and statistics, I think 7 out of 10 jobs are being found by networking, by talking to people, and you find jobs like that. And it's really important to I know the theme of like pay has come up a couple of times. Obviously, getting into the field as a new person, you shouldn't have the expectation of getting paid the highest. You have to work for it. Over the years, the number of years you put in are going to determine how much you're going to make. So that's one thing younger individuals have to keep in mind while they go through their journey. And yeah, overall, it should be a collaboration between both parents and kids as well.
Oh, over to you, Ms. Valerie. What's your close remark on this?
Let's see. The big thing is the path. What is the career based on your child's interests, based on their ability? The career. That'll be blue collar, that'll be white collar. What's the career? The second part of that is, what is the schooling? Is it a technical school, the high school, a community college, or is it the traditional college where we're talking about the bachelor's and the master's? And then the last part of it, once you've done this, because this is way before your child graduates from high school, how are you gonna pay for it? And part of that is they should, by 11th, 12th grade, probably by 11th grade, have an idea of, okay, what are the 10 schools that'll get me my career, that'll get me the classes and the major to get me to my career. And so you're ready to send out that FAFSA to those 10 schools and get their take on how much free money they're gonna give you. But if you don't have career, if you don't have schooling, if you don't have the resources to pay for it, your child will fail. They will fail because they will get to school and they don't know why they're there. And you have failed because you're wasting your money for children who don't know why they're there. So that's my big thing. Career, schooling, how are you gonna pay for it? Oh, by the way, my book is on Amazon. I have to say that. And thank you guys so much. And I really enjoyed the discussion. I really did enjoy it.
Thank you so much, Ms. Valerie. Thank you so much, all the panelists. I really appreciate all of you. I appreciate your time. I hope next time when I call on you for next discussion, you're gonna be there, you're gonna answer.
Hello.
Hi.
Can I have the question, please?
We are running out of we are running out of time.
Okay, that's fine.
You can just email me, then I will send it to her or whoever that you want.
It's not actually to Valerie. I think it's a thing that we need to think about. It's just one valid point.
Okay.
And it's from my observation. Career does not necessarily bring money or financial strength. If we don't start learning how to turn our skills to money, the problem of poverty and not having enough is going to continue. This, I think, the likes of Valerie need to start putting into school curriculum. We need to start learning how to turn our skills to financial strength. Parents will pay for fees and it will continue. We need to learn that. That needs to be taught at a very tender age, how to make money, or else we're going to wallow in poverty. That's my observation.
Thank you, Follow. That is actually going to be our next topic, how to get the business make money from your career path. How to take business out of your career path. That's going to be our next topic. So, Ms. Valerie, you have heard that one, so you're going to get prepared for it. So, thank you, everyone, for being part of today's discussion. Thank you so much. I love you all. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.